Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. Order in the court, ladies and gentlemen. We got a special show for you guys today. Now, I know many of you guys who are true crime aficionados have already seen this trial, but you haven't seen it through my eyes yet. You haven't seen it with strategic eyes. Now, are we just going to go through the entire hearing that Stephan Sterns did today? No, we're not. We're going to break it up into pieces. Today, we're going to start with Detective Tagler. We're going to start with Tagler, guys. And the reason why we're going to start with Tagler is because I told you guys something called best practices. And yes, I do have my judge's wig on because we're in court today. And when we're in court, we have to look the part. You got to have your suit on. You got to have your hat on. I told you guys something about best practices. I explained to you beautiful people that there are certain things that we do as detectives that is considered the right way of doing it. It may not be a specific policy or procedure. There may be workarounds. There may be shortcuts or other avenues and venues to get to the finish line. You know, there's more than one way of winning a case, right? But there's best practices. And I explained to you guys that what I observed from Detective Tagler, and this is not a knock on Tagler, man. I don't want her not to win. I want the prosecution to win. I take no pleasure out of these conversations. But what I observed from Tagler with the taking of Stephan's phone was not best practices. Now, I'm going to take this wig off because it's hot. Aki going to be mad at me because she's like, Strategic, you in court. You got to put the wig on. But you guys get the point because we're going to get serious today. Ow. We're going to get serious because a lot is on the line. Justice for Maddie is on the line. And I got to tell you that I don't think that the defense is going to win their motion. But they made a good argument against the prosecution. We watched how Detective Tagler got destroyed on the stand. Now, some of you are going to say, how did she get destroyed, Strategic? Whatever do you mean? The defense had her on the stand admit multiple times what she was, or rather what she got permission to search. And also, what she did not get permission to search. You see, we could only see but so much from our vantage point, listening to the audio interviews, watching body worn camera, but what happens out there is what matters, not what we think here in YouTube land. What happens out there in the real world while this case is being developed is what mattered. And the defense made her list off a myriad of things in that phone that she looked at, that she did not have permission to look at, ladies and gentlemen. And it didn't sound good. Now, at the end of the day, it's up to that judge to determine what he wants to keep, what he doesn't want to keep. In no way am I here saying that Detective Tagler is a bad detective. In no way am I here saying that the defense is going to win on their motion and have all this myriad of evidence thrown out. I'm not saying those things. What I'm trying to explain to you is the unpredictability of court. I've been in these hearings. Do you guys know what this hearing is called? Nobody on YouTube is telling you what this hearing is called. I'll wait. What is this hearing called, chat? It's called a map hearing. This is a motion to suppress evidence. This is a map hearing. I've been in these hearings before. I've testified in just the last few weeks in at least 4 of these. That's the last few weeks. 4 of these for just sex crimes cases. The exact same thing that we're here for, minus the unaliving. Exact same heinous crimes I've testified in just the last few weeks, minus the unaliving. When you've done enough of these, dozens and dozens and dozens, when you can't say if it's hundreds or you just don't know because you've been through so many, you're going to pick some things up. You're going to understand what the court likes to see. You're going to also understand what the court doesn't like to see. You're lastly going to understand what is best practices. We may live in different states. Different states may have certain variations on laws. Most of the times it's the same laws. They just have different names for them. Battery in one state is assault in another state. Larceny in one state is grand larceny in another state, or theft. It's all the same laws. They just go by different names. But there's one common denominator, ladies and gentlemen, and that's the Constitution. And all of these procedures, like what evidence stays in a court, what evidence get thrown out of a court, what is the metric, what is the standard by which you judge whether evidence is allowed or thrown out as a judge. These things were already adjudicated decades and decades and decades ago in the U.S. Supreme Court. Stop and frisk, that was adjudicated in the U.S. Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that it's constitutional. These aren't things that states are able to have their own take on. No, we all have to follow these procedures universally in these United States of America because it's already been settled in the Supreme Court. So you don't have to be a Florida cop to know what's best practices, because best practices in New York, California, Chicago, Tennessee, Texas, Alaska, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, Washington, D.C. is the same best practice one must follow everywhere because it's a standard that's been set by the United States Supreme Court. So when you seize a phone, could you search it with just permission? Sure you can. Shoot, if I'm there and they tell me I can just search this phone only off permission, we wouldn't even be here. Why? Because I gave you best practices of how to seize a phone as well without getting a search warrant. I told you that if you're going to ask Stephan Sterns for permission to search the phone, it needs to be more than just verbal. You need to say, and a lot of you guys made fun of me because you don't know best practices. But you made fun of me. You said, strategic, you're doing too much. Nobody does that in the real world. Are you sure? How many times have you seized the phone? Well, I told you guys, you have to ask, can I search this phone? Then you have to tell them, are you sure I can search this phone? Then you have to follow up with, you understand that at any time you could rescind the permission that you've given me to search this phone. And then you end it with a nice cherry on top and you have to now say, okay, I will now search this phone. And then you got to do something extra special. It's like putting gravy on a steak. You have to make them sign a consent form. You want it in writing. You wanted it verbally, which you should have recorded on a recording device or body-worn camera, where they're saying you have permission and you explain it to them that they can rescind permission if they want to at any time and not allow you to search. You have to let them understand both sides are options for them. Otherwise, it's coercion, such as, you're going to let me search this phone or I'm going to get a search warrant. That's coercion. That's a threat. Can I search your phone? Do you understand that at any time you could rescind permission to search my phone? That's not coercion. That's not a threat. That's a choice. And then you get it in writing where the person understands what you were saying verbally to them, and they've now buttressed that and backed that up by saying, I understand in writing. And not only that, I have a copy of this document for my records that explains my rights, that I signed my rights over. That's best practices. Now, some of you guys will say, well, that sounds like that's too much, strategic. This is an exigent circumstance. Well, they talked about that in this trial too, because she admits that when she took the phone, she didn't know what she had. She didn't know what she had. She could not articulate probable cause. Now, I don't know if she made a mistake when she was testifying or if she was just nervous, but she told the defense, well, why didn't you do this? Well, you took the phone. Why didn't you get a search warrant? Well, we didn't know what we had at that moment. We're still trying to figure it out. You can't just take somebody's phone and you not know what you have. You have to articulate probable cause. Now, some of you guys will say, well, she asked for permission. Okay. Well, the defense would say that he was coerced. And the defense will also say that he wasn't in his right state of mind, that he was drugged up, that he was experiencing mental anguish. Well, guess what? The courts are all about balancing the needs of law enforcement and your individual rights. Guess where they're supposed to show deference? Not to me, not to law enforcement. The deference is shown to the citizen because I represent the government. I represent the long arm of the law. I represent infinite resources, infinite power over you as a citizen. So the deference in the courts is to your rights because you are going up against the government. Tiny you, big behemoth, the government. So that's what makes these motions so dangerous because the deference goes to the individual, the accused, the person who's going up against the government. So when you have a detective saying, when I seized the phone at that moment, I didn't really know what I had. That's problematic. She did not articulate why she had the right to take that phone. She basically threw exigency to the road because she didn't even articulate exigency. So like the judge can now say, well, you know what? I'm going to give her a pass on the, did she have permission? Did she not have permission? Because she could have fallen back on exigency when she didn't even articulate exigency. She didn't even give herself a plan B by saying, well, we knew Stephan Sterns was the prime suspect. She didn't say that. She said, wasn't really sure what we had. Wasn't really sure what we had. So, we're going to go back. Stephan Sterns' audio is terrible. We'll review that. We're going to review everybody. But we're going to start with Tagler. There's one more thing that I noticed before we get started, ladies and gentlemen. Big shout out to the people who have shown love in the chat. We have MM Claire with 199 Super Chat says exigent circumstances. We addressed that just now. I think she said that right when I was saying what I was saying about how she threw exigency out the window. She threw it out the window. She bundled that. They threw her a touchdown pass and she butterfingered it. She didn't do the Randy Moss. She didn't one-hand it. Unfortunately, she was like Warren Sapp in that end zone. Warren Sapp can sack you, but he can't catch. Big shout out to Ebony with a $10 super chat. Guys, I had a ridiculously terrible day today. And you don't know how good I feel right now just talking to you guys. I can't see any one of you, but I know you're here and I feel amazing. My day was horrible. We're not going to get into that. Not going on a tangent. I know why we're here. I'm just saying my day was horrible. But I feel great talking to you today. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for helping me feel a little better. Let's keep going. Ebony Briggs with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you. Appreciate you. One more thing that I learned. These are rookie detectives. These are rookie investigators. I started right here only because I forgot this guy's name. So we're going to play it to get his name. And then we're going to go into, and then we're going to talk about the other detective, and we're going to talk about Tagler, and then we're going to listen to Tagler. I just want to make a point to you guys. Listen to this.
State, do you anticipate presenting witnesses or evidence?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. I'm going to call your first witness.
The state will call Detective Francis Hunt.
So this is Francis Hunt. This guy's got 5 years on the job. And I think, I forgot which one, let's let him play because I don't know if he had like a year or two of experience or 6 months. Let's listen. These were very inexperienced investigators for a capital crime. Very inexperienced. Guys, hit that like button for me, please. Support the channel, hit the like button. Debbie Gazzardo, 6 months as a recruit. Thank you for supporting the channel.
Of course. Attorneys on both sides are welcome to move about the well as they need to.
Good afternoon. Will you please say your first and last name and spell both of them for the record?
Francis, Francis, Hunt, Hunt.
How are you employed?
I'm a detective with the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
What was your assignment with the Orange County Sheriff's Office in February of 2024?
I was and am currently assigned to the Domestic Crime Squad.
How long have you been assigned to that particular squad?
About a year and a half.
Rookie. He got like 5 years. He's been with them a year and a half. Rookie. How are these guys becoming detectives in like 4 or 5 years? How does that work? Now, listen, I got to be transparent because, listen, people could find out who I am, and most people already know who I am. I became a detective in my police agency in 4.5 years. I had already worked 10.5 years as a senior sex crimes investigator with the state of New York before going to policing. So of course I'm going to be on the fast track to detective. Of course. I was born a detective. I was a detective when the people that I came in and trained me and they did a great job. And we have some wonderful investigators and detectives where in my outfit. But I was a detective before they was detective, before most of them was even police officers. So I'm an outlier. But these guys are rookies. These folks weren't even cops prior to being, this is new for them. And so that's why you're seeing a lot of these mistakes. Now, I'm not saying he made a mistake. I think he did a good job, but he's still a rookie. So let's keep going. I want to move on up, though. So we're going to skip Tagler. We're going to go back to her. But we know that she has 9 years, and she's been in special victims for 3 years. She's got the most time out of them. It's a decent amount of time, absolutely. But you should not be in special victims or homicide with less than like 10, 15 years of experience. So let's go over to this guy. Check this guy out. Listen to this guy.
How long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
5 years.
In February of 2024, what was your assignment?
I was a detective with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, Sex Crimes Unit.
How long had you been in that unit at that time?
Approximately 6 months.
Rookie. I'm not saying he did a bad job. Rookie. 6 months. 5 years on the job. Already? A detective? Come on, man. What are you, short staffed down there or something? I don't know. Listen, I'm not trying to rag on these guys. I'm just giving you guys an insight of how we think in the world of detectives and how this really works. Now, if you like what they're doing down there, okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to disrespect. If you live in Orange County, you're very proud of your town, you love your police force, you love your sheriff's department, I don't mean any disrespect. I'm telling you as an experienced investigator who's been investigating crimes for 15 years, who's had an investigator's shield for 15 years. I'm telling you, these guys are rookies. Rookies will make mistakes. So now, I just wanted to point that out to you guys that this was a very, very inexperienced group of investigators working this case. Now, I'm not saying they did a bad job. I like Hunt. I like this guy. I had issues with Tagler and some of the things that she did, but she's not a bad investigator. She asked good questions at times. She did things that I was proud of her for. She also did things that I kind of found annoying. Like, does that make sense? Does that make sense? I don't even have the sound effect up. I got to do better, Aki. You got to have the does that make sense sound effect up. You know what? I'm going to stop the show because I need to get the does that make sense sound effect. Aki's like, where's it at? I don't even know where it's at, so I give up. She's like, yo, you really stopped the show so you could get the does that make sense sound effect? People are like, this is so unprofessional, Strategic. You don't stop a show just to get a sound effect. I love my does that make sense sound effect. All right, I can't get it. We'll get it while we're listening to the actual interrogate. I mean, I said interrogation, to the cross-examination. Let me pick this back up. I'm sorry, guys. Put this over here. I'm sorry. Perfect. Okay. Very inexperienced. So now let's go back and let's listen to Tagler. Listen, I'm going to say this for the last time as we find our place. I am not saying, because people, listen, this is very emotional for a lot of people that are watching these streams. A lot of you guys, I acknowledge it. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't exist. A lot of you guys have been victims. Now you're survivors, most of you, and I'm proud of you for that. And some of you are warriors. If you don't know what I mean when I say victim, survivor, warrior, well, hit that subscribe button, listen long enough, and you'll understand the difference of when we say those things on True Crime and Strategic. I know this is personal for a lot of people. I know when a guy like me, here's this guy coming on YouTube, saying things, does he sound like he's trying to benefit Stephan Sterns? Like, what is this guy doing? Maybe it's your first time watching the stream. You might jump the gun and say, why are you trying to help Steph? I'm not trying to help Stephan Sterns. I wholly and totally believe that Stephan Sterns will lose this motion. I wholly and totally believe he'll be found guilty and he will have to face capital punishment. That is my dream. But it's my job to tell you guys how this really works. If I'm not telling you how it really works, then I'm just entertainment. And I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to educate you. Because I've been doing this for a very long time. And I got something to teach. And I know some of you guys got something to teach too. And I got something to learn, because you never stop learning till the day you're in the grave. And some of you got some things to learn too. I'm here to give you the knowledge, just like I take the knowledge from you guys when you send me emails, and I'm thanking you and I'm appreciating, and I'm doing shows off of some of the theories and tips you guys gave. Our last few shows was simply off of your tips, and I gave you your credit because you deserved it. I'm telling you how it goes from my experience. Take it or leave it, but don't take it personally, because I'm on your side. But I also got to be honest with you. So now, let's listen to Tagler.
Will you please say your first and last name and spell both of them for the record?
Myra Tagler, M-A-I-R-A, last name T-A-G-L-E-R.
How are you employed?
The Orange County Sheriff's Office.
We got to fix our title because we spelled her name wrong. Sorry, Tagler. Let's keep
How
going.
long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
9 years.
In February of 2024, what was your assignment?
I was assigned to the Sex Crimes Unit.
Are you still assigned to that particular unit now?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been in that unit?
3 years and 2 months.
Were you working in your capacity as a detective in that unit on February 27th of 2024?
Yes.
Did you become involved in the investigation into the missing juvenile named Madeline Soto?
Yes.
How did you become involved?
I was tasked to assist the primary detective at the time.
Hold on here. Before she get deep into this, because I'm going to be listening intently, because I want to point some things out for you guys. First of all, I was listening to Plunder the other night, and she gave me a big shout out, and I really appreciate that, Plunder. Thank you so much. I shout her out all the time because I got a lot of respect and love for that woman, for what she does, the energy, the time, and the professionalism that she brings in to YouTube. Mad respect for Plunder. Thank you so much, Plunder. You know what I'm saying? My other favorite is Grizzly. You guys know I shout Grizzly out all the time. I see some Grizzlies in there. So if we got any Grizzlies watching, put some Bears in there. Let me see who you are. I want to see that love. But I definitely got to show that love to Plunder for shouting me out. I'm a small growing channel. And you know what I'm saying? Any help I could get to help this channel grow and reach a wider audience is always appreciated. And listen, I think we're going to do big things. I think this audience is going to grow. This community is going to grow into something beautiful. And I want you guys to understand, number one, I'll never forget you guys who support me in this chat with your subscription. And I'll never forget the people who show me love on YouTube. Never. One thing I am is humble and forever grateful. Let's keep it going.
Detective Hunt with canvassing.
About what time do you respond to assist in the investigation?
It was about 4 p.m.
And this was on February 27th.
Yes.
And where is the initial location where you responded to?
It was in Hunters Creek,
Did you respond to a residence in Hunters Creek or somewhere else?
somewhere else.
Did you respond to the command post?
Yes.
When you get to the command post, do you learn any information regarding the investigation?
Yes.
What information do you have after leaving the command post? What information did you get?
I was advised of we have LPRs, which is tag readers, and I was advised of the direction of travel that Stephan's vehicle had traveled the day of the incident.
Were you aware on this date and time that Madeline Soto had not gone to school on February 26th?
Yes.
Were you aware that she had not been seen since the morning of February 26th?
Yes.
And the information regarding the tag reader, did law enforcement identify the tag that was on a vehicle that the defendant had access to?
Yes.
And what was some information that you got regarding the location of the defendant's vehicle on the morning of February 26th, the Monday?
He had traveled southbound 3 times on South Jungin Parkway towards Kissimmee, which was away from the direction of Madeline School.
Are all of these times early morning and late morning?
Both.
And then did you also get some information that in the afternoon, the car was traveling in and out of St. Cloud, Florida?
Yes.
Specifically, the travel on southbound South John Young Parkway, were those times consistent with what the defendant had described to law enforcement as his location were?
They were not.
And were these, the initial time was around 8:15 in the morning?
I believe it was 8:10.
And then there was another one around 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
And then
Okay.
almost around noontime?
Yes.
Thank you. Overruled as to leading. I've got a question. The times that you just gave were for identifications of the tag
LPR.
through the LPR system. Overruled. Continue.
And then the afternoon times of going in and out of St. Cloud, do you recall what those were?
I do not.
Hey, what's up, guys? Sorry for stopping it. I can't find a comment, but Aki let me know that Kayla Alaria, I hope I'm saying the name correctly, is in the comment section. And the reason why I want to shout out Kayla is because if you guys remember, we did this show based off of her theory, the comment that she made in the comment section. So I never saw her again. There goes Kayla P. Is this the same person? I don't know if that's the same person. That's not Kayla. It's not Kayla Alaria. That's Kayla P. Unless you change her name or something. But Kayla Alaria is the one who showed that love. So big shout out. Big shout out to Kayla Alaria. I just wanted to make sure I shouted her out. Aki will clarify. You guys know I screw this stuff up, so she'll let me know if that's the same person. Or Kayla will let me know. Were you the one that made the comment, Kayla? I don't know. Let's keep going.
Did you document those times and locations?
Oh, she said, no, it's me. All right, cool. So thank you, Kayla P, for showing that love. Aki says, it is her, you dimwit big brother. I know she be talking crap about me in her head. Like, you dimwit big brother. Why the hell did mommy make you first? But anyway. She says, my username and screen name is different. All right, well, you want some secret squirrel stuff, Caleb P. Who are you hiding from? I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, we appreciate you. That was a really good comment that you made. And you really helped the community by sharing your thoughts. And we do appreciate you. Rosie Rose 80 with a $2.99 super sticker. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's keep going.
In your narrative that you drafted for the
Yes.
case, would looking at your narrative assist in helping you remember the specific times that the vehicle was traveling in and out of St. Cloud?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm approaching the witness for the record with Detective Tagler's 11-page narrative.
Thank you.
All right, before she gets into that, Jen is mad. Who's this? Jen Absolute says, I didn't get a shout out when you commented you were doing a show on my comment. Now I'm hurt. Don't be hurt. Don't be hurt. I forget everything. But thank you so much for whatever comment you made that I did a show on. I appreciate you too. Let's keep going.
I'm looking at page 4.
Does page 4 help refresh your memory as to the times that the vehicle was picked up on a tag reader going in and out of St. Cloud?
Yes.
What times was it traveling towards or into St. Cloud?
It says eastbound on US 182 and Pecan Street at 13:05 hours, and westbound on US 192 and Academy Drive at 14:23 hours.
And you were equipped with this information at the time that you responded and met with Mr. Sterns in this case?
Yes.
Somebody just made a really good point. Orange Rose made a really good point. Thank you, Orange Rose, for making that point. She said, if it were my daughter, though, I'd be at every hearing, just saying. You guys notice that Jen Soto has not come to any of these hearings. Not one. Not one. Now, it's a possibility. The reason why she ain't come is because she's on the witness list. If that's the case, she can't come. But I don't know. I don't know.
Were you aware as to who the last person to have seen Madeline Soto alive or have seen her was?
Yes.
Who?
Stephan Sterns.
Was that consistent throughout a lot of law enforcement interviews that were conducted?
Yes.
After you get this information and your task is to assist in the investigation, what's the next thing that you do?
Detective Acosta and I respond to Kissimmee to their residence, and we meet with Detective Hunt.
When you say their residence, are you referring to Miss Jennifer Soto and Madeline Soto's residence?
Yes.
That would be on the Santa Maria Drive.
Yes.
When you get to the address, who is there?
Detective Hunt is there. There's other patrol deputies on scene, and Jennifer and Stephan.
Is there law enforcement conversing with either Jennifer Soto or Stephan Sterns?
Not at the time.
Who is the first person that you speak with?
Detective Hunt.
Does Detective Hunt relay information that he obtained during an interview with the defendant to you?
Yes.
What information do you recall receiving prior to your interaction with the defendant?
He stated that he had spoken to Stephan and Jennifer, and to his knowledge, Madeline had not made it to school, that Stephan had dropped her off near the school, and that they were supposed to go to McDonald's, but they didn't. And then he watched her walk towards the direction of the school, and then he went home.
Did you receive at that time any information about the sleeping arrangements on February 25th of 2024, the night before?
Yes. Detective Hunt told me that Madeline and Stephan had slept together in room number 4 because Jennifer needed to get more rest that morning.
Nasty.
Equipped with this
Yes.
How did you know who was Stephan Sterns? And how to find him in the area?
Detective Hunt pointed him out.
Was your encounter with Mr. Sterns audio recorded?
Yes.
As a detective, what is your uniform, for lack of a better word, when you are at work? What do you wear?
Professional attire, like I'm dressed right now.
You're not in a police uniform when you make contact with Mr. Sterns?
I am not.
How about Detective Louis Acosta?
Same, not in uniform.
Does anybody approach Mr. Sterns with you and Detective Acosta?
No.
Where is Mr. Sterns when you approach him?
We're all standing behind his vehicle.
When you say his vehicle, who are you talking about?
The Lincoln.
So the defendant.
Hold on here. Do we have like only members comments on? Because the support from the members is bananas. All I see is a sea of green. It's almost like we only have members only comments. I appreciate you, members. You guys are showing out today. Big shout out to you.
Yes.
And at this point in time, is the defendant handcuffed?
He's not.
Is the defendant free to leave?
Yes.
How is his demeanor, meaning the defendant's demeanor when you're interacting with him?
He was very emotionless, but otherwise able to answer every question that we had for him.
All right. Just so you guys can know some clarification. This is the remember, before we got started, maybe I didn't play that because I jumped ahead. The judge now said it's up to you guys now to defend yourself now, prosecution. So it's the prosecution's turn right now. So they're asking her leading questions. This is a friendly questioning and answering. All right. Direct questions, friendly, prosecution to detective. Things are going to heat up when they stand down, they finish their questions, and the defense gets their turn for rebuttal. So just keep that in mind, okay? But you got to get the full context. I'm not just going to jump to the defense and see her get tough questions. I want you to get the full context because I want to be fair to Detective Tagler. So let's keep going.
Did the defendant, seem groggy, confused, unable to communicate with you?
He did not.
Did the defendant respond appropriately to questions that you were asking?
He did.
Would you classify his behavior towards you as cooperative?
Yes.
Can you explain to the court, I know that you indicated that you're all standing in the back of Mr. Sterns' vehicle, but can you explain to the court where everybody is positioned?
Yes. I was standing on the left side of the trunk. Stephan Sterns was standing next to me. We were basically shoulder to shoulder. And Detective Acosta was standing closer to the wheel well on the right side and the corner of the car.
Was Mr. Sterns' path of travel impeded by either of you?
It was not.
Was Mr. Sterns free to leave?
Yes.
Did Mr. Sterns...
So what the prosecutor's trying to establish is that this was not a custodial interview. It's not a custodial interview. This guy is free to go at any time. All right. He's not under arrest. So they're trying to establish he's not under duress. He's not under arrest and he's not under duress that is caused by the police presence there. Big shout out to, gotta definitely show love, to AMA, who gave 5 gift membership to 5 lucky people. Make sure you guys thank her because it's very generous of her for giving you that gift membership. And big shout out to Barbara North, who upgraded her membership to patrol. You are appreciated. So this is what the prosecutor's trying to show. Stephan Sterns, he was not being badgered. He was not being arrested. He was not being threatened. He wasn't being coerced. He was cooperating. Everything is good here. Let's keep going.
Ever communicate with you either verbally or by body language or physically a desire to end the communication with you?
He did not.
At some point during your interaction with him, do you request for Mr. Sterns to take out his cell phone
Yes.
or to look at his cell phone?
Yes.
Can you remember where the cell phone was, where the defendant's cell phone was when you asked this question?
I do not. It was in his possession, but I don't recall where he grabbed the phone from.
Did the defendant consent to allowing you to look at his phone?
Yes.
And do you remember if Mr. Stern's cell phone was password or passcoded, protected?
It was.
Who entered the passcode?
Look, I gotta say, I'm not ragging on this lady, man. Thank you for your service, Detective Tagler. She's a hero. All right. She gets up every day and tries her best to solve cases and bring justice to victims. All right. I have my issues with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. We've watched videos of how those sheriff's officers disrespected victims of X crimes right in our face. We saw it via body-worn camera. All right. We've covered that stuff. They got a lot of work to do down there in the Orange County section. Osceola County, Kissimmee, the whole nine. They got a lot of work to do. But I just got to say, she's very monotone, not much expression. I don't know if that's a defense mechanism for the stand in order to, kind of put that poker face on. But she's definitely very monotone. You guys, I mean, we're here to observe and to talk about these things. You guys see that as well? Let's keep going.
Into the phone.
Stephan.
After Mr. Sterns entered the passcode in the phone and unlocked the phone, what did Mr. Sterns do with the phone?
He handed me the phone.
While you are holding the phone, where are you standing?
In the same position next to Stephan.
Do you hold the phone in a way to allow others to see what is on the phone?
Yes.
Where is Mr. Sterns at as you are looking at the phone?
Directly standing next to me.
And initially, the interaction and how the cell phone comes out, you bring up looking at maps in the phone.
Correct.
Are you familiar with the type of phone that the defendant had?
I am not.
Do you also inquire as to taking a picture of, quote unquote, your history, the defendant's history? Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that's also encompassed in the audio recorded interview.
Correct.
Does the defendant ever communicate to you any limitations on what it is that you're doing?
He does not.
Does the defendant ever attempt, either verbally, physically, or in any type of way, to cease the search of the phone?
He does not.
All right, so she's just basically going through showing that, hey, number one, Stephan wasn't under arrest. Stephan wasn't being cornered. He wasn't stopped from going somewhere. He was cooperating, and he also made no effort to reclaim his phone. That's what the prosecution is pretty much laying down. Somebody asked a good question inside of the chat. It says that is her deadpan way a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a safe way of going, but juries like to see you more endearing, more human. So when it comes to a jury trial, for the judge, nobody cares, right? The judge doesn't care about that stuff. When it comes to a jury trial, the jury's going to be looking at your demeanor. These are layman people who don't know much about law enforcement. They want to see a hero. They want to see a likable person who's investigating this case. So, but you can't go wrong being deadpan. It's either you're going to have some machismo and be a good testifier, or just be stoic. And so if stoic is what works for her, then I would definitely advise her to do what works for her, right? But juries do like you to show a little bit more emotion than she's showing, but that's nitpicking. She's not doing bad right now. She's actually testifying very good in that she's answering the questions, yes and no, not elaborating too much. She's doing a great job testifying right now. But once again, This is friendly testimony because this is the prosecution that's asking these questions. Let's keep going.
After you look at the maps, the history, what did you see? Or what did you notice in what you saw on the phone?
I noticed that he had mentioned that he uses Google Maps for basically everything to check locations, the time places open and close. And I noticed that on his Google history, it was very minimal. There was not a lot of traveling that was consistent to what he had originally said to both Detective Acosta and I. So then after that, I went to his call history and I noticed that there was also not a lot of information on his call history.
And this was after you mentioned looking at his history.
Correct.
And during this entire...
All right, let me stop it right here real quick. I got to show love to my chat. Some people hate it, but you must not be a part of our family because here we're a family and the chat matters. So big shout out to A Obsidian with a 5 gift membership. So if you're one of those 5 people that got that lucky gift membership, make sure you thank A Obsidian. And lastly, scroll on down here. Emily Guthrie says, are we covering the whole day /3 hours of court? Just trying to prepare to tell my husband I will be busy. LMAO. No, we're not covering the whole thing. So your husband can definitely have your attention when we're done here. And I definitely encourage it. Remember, the Bible said, be fruitful and multiply. Let me stop. I'm being such a naughty boy. Anyway, we're just going to cover Tagler and that's it. We're going to cover all these other people with different shows. Today, we're just covering Tagler. Let's keep going.
Time did the defendant ever cease or withdraw his consent, either verbally or physically?
He does not.
After this initial interaction with the cell phone, do you keep the cell phone?
No.
What do you do with it?
I hand it back to Stephan.
Is it at this point that you walk away for a brief period of time?
Yes.
And do you come back?
I do.
Where Mr. Sterns and Detective Acosta are?
Yes.
Did anything about the circumstances surrounding this interaction with Mr. Sterns, either the location, the number of people, where people are standing, did any of that change?
No.
Was Mr. Sterns standing in
Does that make sense?
places before you left?
Yes.
Was Mr. Sterns still free to leave and out of handcuffs?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
At approximately 7:57, do you again ask Mr. Sterns to unlock the phone?
Yes.
How does that happen? Explain that process.
He again enters the code and hands me the phone.
Jules says she wants to say, does that make sense so bad to the lawyer? You so bad. Got the meanest chat on the planet.
At some point, do you bring up the lack of call history to the defendant?
I do.
What was the defendant's explanation?
He said he had accidentally factory reset his phone.
After your interaction with him, you knew all of that information that you had previously explained that you knew. You had an opportunity to see things on the phone and the information that you had that the phone was factory reset. What did you do?
At that point, I told him I was going to hold on to his phone.
and that was approximately at 8 p.m., 7:59, 8 p.m. on February 27th of 2024.
Correct.
After this interaction with him, did you secure anything else
No.
other than the cell phone? Did you secure anything else, or
Well, I did ask him to refrain from going back in his vehicle.
his vehicle, meaning the Lincoln?
Yes.
Was Mr. Sterns able to enter and exit Jennifer Soto's vehicle during the time between your two interviews with him?
Yes.
Was he free to walk about?
Yes.
Did you or Detective Acosta remain where Mr. Sterns and Ms. Soto were?
No.
What were you doing in between your two interviews?
After speaking with Stephan Sterns the first time, Detective Acosta and I went to the front of the apartment complex to speak with management and ask them to review their surveillance.
After doing these additional tasks, do you speak to Stephan Sterns a second time?
Yes.
This is approximately 12:15 in the morning on February 28th, right?
Yes.
Was Mr. Sterns handcuffed?
He was not.
Had his movements been restricted in any way by you during your conversation?
No.
Were you wearing the same clothes that you had worn a couple hours earlier?
I was.
Who was with you when you spoke with Mr. Sterns?
Aki, block everybody who say I want to laugh, because I don't want to laugh. I'm being good to Tagler today. Y'all being mean.
Detective Acosta.
At any point in time during either of your interactions with Mr. Sterns,
Does that make sense?
did Detective Acosta remove a firearm from your persons? Did you guys take your guns out?
No.
So just to let you know, when they ask, and I'm just joking about the blocking, you guys don't know, but there might be new people on the channel like, oh, that guy's telling to block people, he's mean. No, we love you guys. We're just kidding around here. We're having a good time, but we're talking about serious stuff. The reason why she's asking now if any of these detectives and officers remove firearms is all about intimidation. She's trying to lay that groundwork that Stephan wasn't intimidated, Stephan wasn't threatened, Stephan wasn't coerced, nothing like that, okay? So that's what they're trying to lay down, that groundwork that he made these choices, gave these permissions of his own free will. Let's keep going.
Did you threaten arrest or anything like that during your interactions with Mr. Sterns?
No.
This second interview that you conducted, was that also audio recorded?
Yes.
Was Mr. Sterns free to leave at the end of the interview?
Yes.
In fact, he did leave your presence as well as Nation Bay, correct?
Correct.
Was Mr. Sterns' demeanor the same or different?
It was the same.
Did you have any issue communicating with Mr. Sterns?
I did not.
Was Mr. Sterns cooperative with you?
Yes.
And during this second interview, did you explain what law enforcement was seeking to do with Mr. Sterns' phone?
I did.
What did you tell him?
I asked him I told him that we wanted to download the phone to see if we can get more information from his maps. And then he said that that was fine.
Okay. Are you sure that you specifically said that you wanted to download information, specifically the maps?
Not just the maps, just any information on his phone. I told him that we wanted to get more information from his cell phone.
No, you didn't. I don't remember her saying that. You guys remember her saying that? She said specific things that she wanted to check. She didn't say general, any information. That's not true. Let's keep going, though.
Do you remember using the words, we want to download your phone, we want to go through your phone?
Yes.
During this encounter with him, you request specific consent from him to be able to go through the phone, right?
Yes.
Do you explain to him in your question what is going to happen or what your alternative route?
And mind you, at the very end, she said she wanted to download the phone, but not initially. So I just want to clarify that. And now listen, I could be mistaken. I'm going off of my memory. Okay? And I got a lot to remember because I'm a busy dude. Okay? But like you guys are busy too. It's nothing special about me compared to you. We all have our own busy lives, and we're following this case because we want to seek justice for Maddie, but we also have our own lives. But my recollection is that at the end, it's like, I want to download your phone. But in the beginning, it was, hey, can I check your history, your maps history? Hey, can I see if you're logged into Google? It was specific things that she requested. So let's keep going. And listen, once again, I want her to win, but I'm also being objective, and I'm going to react to this fairly and honestly. Just like how I don't want police to just be able to run into the drug dealer on the corner and just grab him up for no reason. We know he's a D dealer. We know he's a bad guy. We want him off the streets, but we got to do it the right way, right? We have to get our probable cause. We have to do our investigation. We have to do our buy and bust. We have to see for a fact that this person is a guilty party. And then we take them off the streets and we send them to jail. And we all have a free and guiltless conscience because we know we did it the right way. That's the way it's supposed to work. So the same thing goes for Stephan Sterns. We know he's a monster. We know he's a beast. We call him Beelzebub on this channel. Man, we went biblical on this guy. We were talking, we call him Mephistopheles. I say that with the extra stuff. We call him Mephistopheles on this channel. We call him the devil. But guess what? We want him to get a fair trial. We want to be fair and just. So when law enforcement does a good job, we're going to say, hooray, like I always play the sound effect. But when they do a bad job or an iffy job, or they're just not acting with best practices, we're going to talk about that. So let's keep going.
Yes.
What did you say?
When I explained to him what we wanted to do with the cell phone, I asked him if I had his consent to download the phone or if I had to obtain a search warrant.
And did the defendant consent to downloading his phone?
Yes.
Did the defendant provide you verbally with the passcode to his phone?
He did.
At the time that this interaction happened, did you or Detective Acosta impede or restrict Mr. Sterns' movement in any way?
We did not.
At any point in time, did Mr. Sterns seek to limit the scope of the cell phone download?
He did not.
Did you provide Mr. Sterns with your phone number or a way to get a hold of you after your interaction?
I did.
And did you give him any information as to when you would be accessible through that cell phone?
I did.
What did you tell him?
That my phone was on 24/7.
At any point in time, did Mr. Sterns reach out to you to either withdraw consent or limit the consent?
He did not.
Are you sure that he had a way to communicate with you?
Yes.
How do you know that?
Because Jennifer had her cell phone with her.
Are you sure that,
And I just want to point out this comment. This comment is worth $1 million. Rebecca, can't say her last name, Dietrich. You need to change your name, Rebecca. Rebecca says, we all want the same thing. However, the Constitution must be upheld in the court of law. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe in the Constitution. You guys know on this show, I'm a big patriot. I would rather somebody like Sterns go free than to infringe upon our Constitution and the rights that is afforded us under that Constitution. Because after that, all we have is tyranny. That's why I believe so deeply and passionately about fair and justice. Yeah, let's keep going.
do you know if Mr. Sterns and Ms. Soto left Venetian Bay together?
They did.
Do you know which vehicle they were in?
In Jennifer's vehicle.
Big shout out to Mia M. $2 super chat says I bought some butterscotch candy and it was yuck. Actually, I like butterscotch. I'm not going to lie to you. I like the butterscotch.
For the record, was states B for identification. Did you have an opportunity to listen to the
So what you got to do in this, I do this all the time. Let's see if they have the same procedure in Florida. I've never seen this before. So she gives you the disc, whatever. We use USBs, so Florida's still using CDs. I don't know what's wrong with Florida. But you get it, and they ask you for identification, did you happen to listen to this? Yes, I did. Do you know what this is? This is a CD, which is a recording of whatever. Did you happen to review this? Yes, I did. When did you have the opportunity to review it? I reviewed it at the county attorney's office. What is the writing that's on that? This evidence is marked as state evidence, whatever. What's that right there? That is my signature that I placed on that with the date. That's basically how we do it. Let's see how they do it in Florida.
I did.
Did they fairly and accurately depict the recordings of the 2 interviews that we discussed here in court with yourself, Detective Acosta, and the defendant in this case?
Yes.
All right, so they do it exactly the same way, and they use the same verbiage that she uses. This is a fair and accurate representation, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, this exact same way. Like I told you guys, different states doesn't matter. We all have the same constitution. Different states doesn't matter. Same constitutions, still same rule of law. Let's keep going.
Be a composite exhibit with both recorders?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
No objection.
These in Bravo will be received as stated.
Can I have just a moment? No other questions?
I like the prosecutor's outfit. You guys know I'm big on fashion. I love her business suit. It's very professional and it's well fitted. Good for her.
So your interactions with Stephan Sterns.
Now his suit could be just a little bit more tailored. Nice suit, but it needs to be a little more tailored to his body. Let's keep going. Let's listen to it. Now it's the defense's turn.
They were audio recorded, right?
Correct.
Okay, they weren't video recorded?
No.
Okay. And let's paint that picture. When you arrived on scene, you said that it was you and another detective present, right?
Correct.
Actually, I think it would have been 3 detectives, right? You, Acosta, and Hunt?
Hunt was already on scene. Detective Acosta and I arrived later.
Okay, so 3 detectives now on scene.
Correct.
Okay. And alongside those detectives, you said that they were patrol deputies, right?
Yes.
From the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
I don't recall if it was us or Kissimmee.
Okay. Were they wearing uniform?
Yes.
Did they have their badges?
Yes.
Did they have their guns?
Yes.
Did you have your gun?
I did.
Okay. And did you have their badge?
I did.
Okay. And when you arrive on scene, you said that you...
Okay. I got one more joke. Somebody said, what do I think about Stephan Sterns' outfit? Stephan Sterns is the sharpest dude in there. He's got that Gucci orange on. He's the flyest dude in that courtroom.
First went to talk to Detective Hunt, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then afterwards, at one point you start talking to Stephan Sterns, right?
Yes.
Okay. And this is outside of his house?
Correct.
Because it's not allowed to go inside his house at this point, right?
Not at this point. The house was not secured.
Right. And when you're talking about secured, that's for securing for searching the house, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the deputies are making sure that he's not going back inside his house, right?
Nobody's doing that.
Okay.
What? Okay.
So, at what point, let me ask it this way, how did he get outside of the house?
I don't know. I wasn't there when he was outside.
To your understanding, how did he get outside?
I'm not sure.
The law enforcement have told him to?
I wasn't there.
Okay. And when you're
Good job. Don't make them get you into hearsay. Really good job on Tagler's part. I don't know. I wasn't there. He wants to get her into hearsay. Well, what do you think happened? Or what do you heard? No. I wasn't there. Ask that person. Pull those cops in.
talking with him, at no point did you say, you can go back inside, right?
I did not.
At no point did you say, you're free to leave, you can drive away, right?
I did not.
Actually, and you kept him from going inside his own vehicle, right?
I did.
All right, so this is excellent because he's now laying a foundation. Like, did this guy really think he was free to go? Because he couldn't go back into his own house or the house he was staying in, and he couldn't even go into his own vehicle. So how can you articulate that he does not feel that he's being detained and that his movement has been restricted? Now, listen, we know why he could not go back into the house, and he shouldn't have gone back into the house. They were getting a search warrant. You can't let people in the house and get a search warrant. And we know why he couldn't get back in the car, because I think they were probably trying to get a search warrant for that too. Were they? I'm not sure. We'll figure it out. He might say it. But the defense is painting the picture. does he really think that he's free to go at that moment, considering all these different places that he's restricted from going? Good job on the defense's part. Let's keep going.
I was being secured for searching too, right?
At that time, I just asked him to refrain from going back in his vehicle.
Okay, so you didn't even tell him it was for a search?
Not at that time, I wasn't sure what we had at the moment.
Boom. I wasn't sure what we had at that moment. Now listen, we know what she had. She could have articulated that better. She could have said, he's the last person to see her. And remember, she said that at that point, they saw that the LPRs weren't matching up. Now, maybe she's nervous or maybe not. I don't know. But what she should have said was, at that time, he's the last person to see Maddie, and he had already lied to us about his whereabouts, so he was a suspect. There's nothing wrong with saying that he's a suspect, which would then give you probable cause to say this vehicle probably was evidence, and that's why I stopped him from going inside of it. But let's keep going.
And then when you're talking with Mr. Sterns, you kind of give us general.
All right, I got to answer this question because I don't want you guys to get lost in the sauce. Somebody says, what's a LPR? LPR means license plate reader. Those are the black bunny ears that you see on the back of police cars. They scan license plates and it can map where people go. I'm not giving any information that the bad guys don't already know. Everybody in America knows that police can map where people go. And that's how you track people sometimes. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. It all depends if you're lucky enough to have a police car go past the car that you're interested in. Sometimes there's no police car that goes past it, and then you won't know that the car went that way. Let's keep going.
Overview that you said that he consented to searching his phone, right?
Yes.
Okay. Your specific question to him at first, going through the timeline, is do you mind if I look at your maps real quick, right?
Correct.
At no point did you say, do you mind if I dig through your entire phone at this point, right?
I did not.
Okay. And then when you get to the next question, it's do you mind if I take a picture of your history, right?
Yes.
Okay. Not take a picture of his lock screen?
No.
Not take a picture of his home screen?
No.
Not take a picture of his call history?
It was his history.
Not take a picture of his emails?
I did not.
Not take a picture of the entirety of his phone, just his history, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then when you get to the next thing, you say, is it okay, let me make sure this is right. Is it okay if I go in your settings real quick? I just want to see if you're logged onto your Google, right?
Yes.
And at that point, Mr. Sterns tells you that he is not logged into his Google, right?
Correct.
Okay. But then you keep pressing and then you say, is it okay if I check?
I asked, I didn't press.
Okay. You asked if it's okay you checked?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, it was just to check whether he was logged into his Google, right?
Correct.
Not going through the entirety of his phone.
Correct.
You never asked him, can I go through the entirety of your phone?
He was standing next to me while I was on his phone.
Okay, so
Not good enough. This is why I said she got destroyed. Because he walked her through and got her to admit that Stephan Sterns only gave her permission to look at specific things. And then when he confronts her with, did he give you permission to look at his entirety of his phone? She goes, well, I was standing right next to him. That's not permission. Just because you're next to me, you're a cop. You have the authority of government. I'm scared of you. Just because you're next to me, and maybe even I could see what you're doing, which I don't know if he could have seen what she was doing because we didn't have video cameras. We just had audio. That doesn't give you permission to search my entire phone. Let's keep going.
it's your...
In fact, I'm going to bring it back a second. So let's go back to, let's go here.
Whether he was logged into his Google, right?
Correct.
Not going through the entirety of his phone.
Correct.
You never asked him, can I go through the entirety of your phone?
He was standing next to me while I was on his phone.
Okay, so it's your basis that he has to say no, you can just keep digging until he says stop?
Correct.
Really?
What?
He was standing next to me.
Are you kidding me? Did you just hear what he got her to admit? Why you think the judge was like, yo, next court date is in June. I need to think this over. The judge gave himself till June to think this over. Did you just hear what he got her to admit? Let's go back so you can hear it.
At that point, Mr. Sterns tells you that he is not logged into his Google, right?
Correct.
Okay. But then you keep pressing and then you say, is it okay if I check?
I asked, I didn't press.
Okay. You asked if it's okay you checked?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, it was just to check whether he was logged into his Google, right?
Correct.
Not going through the entirety of his phone.
Not going through the entirety of the phone. What'd she say?
Correct.
You never asked him, can I go through the entirety of your
He
phone?
was standing
You never asked him if you could go through the entirety of the phone. Her response is going to be, he was standing right next to me.
next to me while I was on his phone.
Okay, so it's your basis that he has to say no, you can just keep digging until he says stop?
Correct.
Your basis is that he has to say no, and you could just keep digging until he says stop. She says correct. That is an unlawful search. You have to get permission. Let's keep going. Or a warrant.
Really?
He was standing next to me and he saw what I was doing on his cell phone.
And did you ever ask him to go through the rest of your cell phone?
I did not.
Did you ever ask him to go into his call history?
I did not.
Did you ever ask
Did you ask him to go through his call history? I did not. Did he ever ask you to go through his call history? I did not.
him to go through his Google Drive on the phone, if it wasn't?
I never looked at his Google Drive.
Okay. But you were looking at the rest of his phone, right?
I looked at his call history and his Google Maps.
Okay, because you were trying to figure out that timeline, right?
Correct.
It's the only thing you were looking for at this point, right?
Correct.
Okay. Did you ever go into the photos on his phone?
Yes.
Did Stephan Sterns ever give permission for her to look at his photos?
Well, he was there?
Yeah, he was standing next to me.
Okay, did you ever ask him if
Her justification for looking in these areas that she didn't have permission to was he's standing right next to me.
if you could go through his photos?
I did not.
Right. And
I think he just asked, did he give you permission to look through the phones? I don't want to put no words in her or the defense attorney's mouth. Let me go back. 47. Let's go to 28.
Yeah, he was standing next to me.
okay, did you ever ask him if you could go through his photos?
I did not.
Right.
She said, I did not. Did you ever ask him if you could go through his photos? I did not.
And when
I only speak what I know. I only speak what I know. If you ask me about stocks, I'm going to give you some rudimentary stuff. I only know what I pick up. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. If you ask me about football, I don't watch it like that. I don't know. You ask me about heart surgery, I tell you nothing because I know nothing. Ask me about chemistry. That's why I'm not a doctor now, because I was terrible at chemistry. When you ask me about law enforcement, when you ask me about testimony, when you ask me about the rules of evidence, when you ask me about being a detective, this is what I know. This is my life's work, and that's why I'm sharing it with you. If you don't want to believe me, okay. When I tell you these things, if you want to say, no, I don't agree with you, strategic, okay. But I know what I say, and I only say what I know. Let's keep going.
you're going through those photos, let's talk about that. How many of his photos did you look at?
I think it was maybe 2 or 3 of the day Madeline went missing.
Just to be clear, you're not just looking at the big grid, you start going into actual pictures?
I don't recall if I actually clicked on any of the pictures
Okay, so how do you know that you were just looking at 2 or 3 of the photos?
because it has dates on, if you look at the grid, it shows dates for pictures.
So you did look at the grid. That's what he wanted you to say. He wanted you to see that you look at the grid. What he's talking about is when you go into any, whether it's an Apple or a Samsung phone, when you go into the Pictures app, they show a big grid of tons of pictures, and you have to hit a particular picture to make it big. What he's saying is you just looked at his whole, or not the whole, because he might have hundreds of pictures in there. You just looked at 20, 30, 40 pictures, however many pictures in that grid could fit on one page. At the very least, we don't know if you scrolled up, we don't know if you scrolled down, but at the very least, you violated his rights and looked at dozens of his pictures. Now, you could argue whether you could make out what those pictures were because the grid is small or whatever, but you looked in a place you wasn't supposed to look. Now, she justifies it by saying, well, I only looked at 2 or 3. 2 or 3 you weren't supposed to see. 2 or 3 you had no permission to look at. But he just had her admit, well, how did you know you only looked at 2 or 3? Well, the dates are on the grid. Oh, so that means that you saw a whole lot more than 2 or 3, because at least 20 to 30 miniaturized pictures were in your face when you looked at that grid. She did not have permission to view those things. She should have got a search warrant. That's why we have what's called best practices. So that bad guys and pedophiles like Stephan Sterns can't get wins in court. So that we don't have this conversation. So that you can't file these motions and you can't do such a great job arguing these motions against a seasoned detective. It's called the best practice. Let's keep going.
Okay. And at any point, rephrase, at no point did you ask him to look at his photos?
I did not.
Then you go back to his Maps app at some point, right?
Correct.
And at that point, you're talking to him about the Snug Street address, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you never asked him if he could go back to the Maps app at that point, right?
I did not.
Okay. And just to be clear, nothing is visually recorded at this point. Right?
Correct.
So when you say that you handed him his phone back, you never actually said, hey, here's your phone back, or anything of that.
I did. I said, here you go.
Here you go. Now, when you get the phone back from him, what do you say?
I said, can you please unlock your phone again?
Okay. And at that point, it's still you and Detective Acosta standing with him, right?
Correct.
Because you both are kind of tag teaming him, questioning him, right?
We're both talking to him.
Okay. Specifically, at what point did you say, here you go, when you handed him his phone?
Right before I stepped away.
Okay. You sure here you go are your exact words?
I don't know if it was my exact words, but I did hand him the phone and I said, here you go. It's in the audio recording.
Okay. And then at this point, you said you got him to unlock his phone again, right?
Yes.
And that's when you started digging through his call history, right?
I'm not sure what I looked at when I had the phone back.
Well, you specifically said, I also noticed I was checking your call history. I noticed you don't have anything before this morning, right?
Yes.
Okay. And at no point did you ask if you can go into his call history?
I did not.
Listen, we make mistakes all the time in law enforcement. All of us do. I've made mistakes. If they would have just got a warrant, all of this would have been dirt under the bridge, just like William J. likes to say. She could have easily said, listen, I looked through it. It was an exigent circumstance. We're looking for this little girl. I saw that the call history was deleted. I felt that we were at risk of losing additional data. So I seized the phone from him because it was clear he was destroying data by resetting his phone. And I got a search warrant, and everything else we obtained was through a lawful search warrant. Because guess what judges don't like to do? Judges do not like to overturn search warrants that were granted by other judges. It's almost like it's personal. Like, you disrespected me. You said that I did not properly adjudicate this search warrant and I submitted an unlawful search warrant. They don't like doing that. But they never got a search warrant, guys. They did all of that searching over this rocky, shaky detective work because best practices were not followed. Let's keep going. Wait, I just got to understand. Does that make sense?
Does that make sense?
Does it make sense?
Does that make sense?
I think it makes sense. Let's keep going.
You took the phone from him, what time was that?
About 8, a little after 8?
8 at night?
Yes.
Okay. Just make
All right, real quick before we get into this, big shout out to Kimberly Fine with a $1.99 super chat. Says that may not make sense, but this 1.99 cents makes sense. I like that. And Aki definitely showed love to somebody. Says highlighted comment is so strategic. If the judge disallows the photos, do they still have a case? Yes, they do, because they'll probably argue that the Google Drive would have been found through inevitable discovery. They would have eventually been led to the Google Drive. So I think they'll still be able to get all the evidence that they got on the Google Drive. I don't think that the judge in any way, because listen, we're not robots. If it was a robot, the judge, if it was just a computer algorithm going by the rules of how we're supposed to take evidence with best practices and stuff like that, a robot would say, the phone is thrown out, the Google Drive is fruit of the poison tree, you get nothing. But we're dealing with human beings. If the judge was to rule against the prosecution for the phone, which I do not believe that he will, He will not throw out this evidence. But if he did, I believe he would throw out the phone, but he'd allow them to keep the Google Drive, because the Google Drive is where all the goods was. And they'll be able to say, well, we would have found it anyway. That's what they would argue. We found Maddie without Stephan Sterns' help. It's not like he gave a confession and led them to the body. They got the body through third parties, through witnesses and people in the community that have found the body. Stephan Sterns would have been numero uno suspect. They would have then got search warrants on this guy. They would have saw that his phone was either missing or his phone was wiped, and then they would have did a search warrant on his Google Drive, and they'd have found these things anyway. That's what they'll argue, and that's why I think the Google Drive stuff is a separate issue. Yes, the defense made motions to say we want to throw out the Google Drive too, but there's separate motions, and they'd be ruled on separately, and so the phone may be in jeopardy, but the Google Drive, I think, is rock solid. Google Drive, they got a court order for that. Let's keep going.
Make sure we're painting that picture clear too. 8 o'clock at night, you're speaking with him, right?
Correct.
It's about 50 to 60 degrees outside.
Correct.
Okay.
And lastly, guys, please hit that like button. Hit the like button, support the channel. We have almost 800 people in the room right now and only 441 likes. Show that support, please.
And law enforcement's been standing around with Mr. Sterns outside.
He went to Jennifer's car after me and him spoke.
Okay, but before you and him spoke.
I can't answer that question. I wasn't there.
Okay, when you first showed up, where was he?
Outside.
Outside where?
I don't recall the exact location, but he was outside with Jennifer.
Right, so you know exactly where you walked, but not where he was?
Correct. I walked towards Detective Hunt.
Now, at this point, you collect Mr. Sterns' phone away from him for the final time that he has his hands on, right?
Correct.
And when you take that phone away from him, you don't ask him for his phone. You take it from him, right?
I already had the phone.
Oh, right. And then you told him specifically that at this point, we're keeping your phone.
Correct.
Okay. Didn't give him a choice.
I said, I'm going to keep your phone. We want to download your phone.
Excuse me, what was the exact phrasing that you just said there?
That we wanted to download the cell phone.
You said that during the
The second interview, not the first one.
talking about when you took the phone away. And then you told him specifically that at this point, we're keeping your phone.
Correct.
Okay. Didn't give him a choice.
I said, I'm going to keep your phone. We want to download your phone.
Excuse me, what was the exact phrasing that you just said there?
That we wanted to download the cell phone.
You said that during the first interview.
The second interview, not the first one.
Talking about when you took the phone away from him the first time during the first interview. When did you tell him that you were going to download the phone?
The second time.
During the first interview, when did you tell him that you were going to download
The second time I spoke to him, not the first time.
it? You never said it the first time.
I did not.
Right. And then when you're talking with him that second time, you actually state to him, your exact words are,
Objection improper.
response?
What you gonna say, Judge?
I'll repeat it.
All right.
When you speak with him, did you tell him that we had previously said that we were going to download the phone?
Yes.
And your interactions with him were recorded.
Correct.
And when you originally took the phone from Stephan Sterns, Mr. Sterns was concerned about staying in touch with his father, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that's the point where you told him, well, you can just talk to him through Jen's phone, right?
Yes.
And at no point was he asked to consent to seizing his phone, right?
Correct.
At no point did you ever give him any form or anything to consent to seizing his phone?
I did not. Everything's audio recorded.
Okay. And at no point did you ever get a form from him consenting to downloading his phone?
I did not.
Okay. Because everything's audio recorded.
Correct.
Got it. And collect the phone at 8 at night. It's about 1:30 in the morning you're talking to him again.
It's not. It's about midnight.
About midnight, okay. 4 hours then?
Just about.
Okay. You had the phone in your possession?
It was in my vehicle.
Okay. Ever apply for a search warrant at that point?
I did not.
Why not?
I didn't need. I didn't have like enough information yet as to what we were doing with the case.
You didn't apply for a search warrant? I did not. I didn't have enough information yet of what we were doing with the case. What does that mean? What exactly is she talking about? If she's talking about the direction of the case, if she's talking about the guiltiness of the subject, then she's not articulating probable cause there. Well, what does that mean? Does she mean who's going to get the case? She couldn't mean that because at that time, Orange County thought they had the case. So she couldn't have meant I didn't know the direction whether I should write the search warrant or not because, you know, I'm Orange County and if Kissimmee's going to get it. No, at that point, they thought that this case belonged to Orange County. So what exactly does she mean by I didn't know the direction of the case at that time? That's why I didn't get a search warrant. I don't know. Let's see if they elaborate on this because I think he kind of got her into a corner. Let's see what he does with it.
Elaborate on that for me. What do you mean you didn't
He uses my words. Elaborate. It's an SAT word. Let's keep going.
have enough information?
We knew that something didn't sound right as like was speaking with him with like the timeline and things like that. But we weren't sure exactly what we were doing yet. I was waiting for my supervisor to contact me.
Okay. And when your supervisor contacted you, did he or she, excuse me? He? Did he tell you to get a warrant?
He did not.
Okay. Did he tell you to try and get that cell phone downloaded?
He did.
Okay. And how did he tell you to get that cell phone downloaded?
He didn't. He just said we wanted to get the phone downloaded, and that's when I asked Stephan if I had his permission to download the phone or if I needed to get a search warrant.
Right. You gave him the ultimatum at that point, right?
I asked him 2 questions.
Okay. So we can either get the phone or you can get a warrant, right?
Correct.
Now, at any point during these interactions, did you ever tell Mr. Sterns that he could have his phone?
Somebody says Stephan Sterns looked like a big toe. Then I looked at Stephan Sterns, and Stephan Sterns looked like a big toe. That's crazy.
I told him his phone was going to be downloaded overnight and that he should probably get it in the morning.
Okay. And prior to the second interview, did you ever tell him he could have his phone back when you just took it from him?
I did not.
Okay. At any point, did you ever apply for a search warrant to download Mr. Sterns' phone?
I did not.
Did any other detective do that?
No.
Okay, because you're relying on that consent, right?
He gave us consent to search his phone.
It's a yes or no. Were you relying on the consent or did you get a warrant?
He gave me consent.
Now, when you're speaking with him, you became aware that Mr. Sterns had taken medication, right?
He said he had the night before.
Okay, and that was Ativan?
Yes.
And he told you why he took that medication, right?
Because he said he couldn't sleep and that he was very stressed and couldn't stop crying.
Right, and then he was also having panic attacks, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you knew that?
Yes, the night before.
Why your question? During the first interview?
Correct.
And the second?
Correct.
Got it. You aware what Ativan does?
I don't take Advance, so no.
Okay. You ever deal with anybody that taken Ativan?
No.
Objection relevance.
As to Mr. Sterns, he was wearing flip-flops at the time, right?
Correct.
Khaki shorts,
Yes.
thin hoodie.
Yes.
Told you he hadn't eaten all day, right?
Yes.
Okay. And was prevented from going inside of, sounds like his vehicle, right?
His vehicle, correct.
Okay. And again, couldn't go inside his own house. Or not his house, but the apartment.
Not at the time.
Okay. And at what time, rephrase, At 2:40 in the morning on February 28th, you submitted his phone to the Orange County Sheriff's Digital Forensics Unit, right?
I did not.
You did not?
No.
Who did?
Detective Acosta.
Okay, so Detective Acosta was now in charge of the phone?
Yes.
Okay. You guys ride in the car together?
We did not.
You said the phone was stored in your car at some point, right?
When we were talking, or when we were looking at the video, yes, it was in my vehicle.
Okay. When did you turn over the phone to Detective Acosta?
At the end of the night, after we secured the residence, which was around 1 in the morning, Detective Acosta was waiting for the tow truck for Stephan's Lincoln, and that's when I handed him the phone because he was going to Central Operations, and I was not.
Okay. Was that the last time that you had involvement with the phone?
Yes.
Okay. So after the handoff, nothing else, just to be clear.
In reference to, like, if I ever looked at the phone again?
Yeah.
Sure, I think it was like 2 days later.
Okay. So at that point, the phone's still in your law enforcement's possession?
Yes.
Brief moment to confirm? Of course.
Stephan, you big toe. Is there anything you want me to ask? You got some toe jam on you? Toe fungus? I don't know. I just want some barrel candy. Anybody have any barrel candy? Where's my mommy? All right. Redirect. Let's see.
Defense mentioned that there were other law enforcement personnel that were at the apartment complex. During your interactions with Mr. Sterns, who was in the immediate area?
Just myself and Detective Acosta. Everybody was kind of just hanging out in the area.
Hit that like button, people. Support the channel. Let me get some stuff for you guys. You guys are amazing. I love this channel.
Detective Tagler, I've got a question. When you initially
Oh boy.
interacted,
The judge does ask questions from time to time during these hearings. Let's see what he says.
Mr. Sterns, you indicated that you are going to take a photo of his history. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you take a photo of his history?
Yes.
Was that on your agency cell phone?
Yes.
Any follow-up questions based on that question? State.
No, Your Honor.
Defense? No. Thank you. May the detective step down?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is Detective Tagler excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Detective Tagler,
Thank
step
you.
down. Thank you.
All right.
Your Honor, Detective Louis Acosta.
Costa's coming up. Oh my God. My head is behind this dude. Let me get out of here. Save me. Let's see. All right. Let's see. You have any scars on his head from TBI? Can we see anything? I mean, he was a little boy when it happened, but let's see if he has any TBI scars. What we got going on here? MG Boots, 5-month membership as a recruit. Thank you for supporting the channel. All right. Let's see. We're not going to watch the next one. I just want to see what the zoom in. See if we see anything interesting from the zoom. All right. See some close-ups of him. His ears are red. He's got a little mole on his neck. His hairline is receding. I know what that feels like. See you, Sterns. Stinky Sterns, we see you. You look like you getting old, brother. You are old. All right, that's that. We're going to come back to this on another date. All right, I want to share some things with you guys. Just go ahead and switch this over. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being patient, showing love to True Crime Strategic, spending time with me. I know a lot of you guys have already seen this. So it's basically you watching it all over again with True Crime with Strategic, and I appreciate you for that. You know? So this is when a viewer hit me up, and you guys are so kind. I had viewers hit me up and kind of like break down and transcribe the trial for me. I didn't ask for that. People just decide to do nice things like that. And one of these viewers also showed love and gave me a screenshot of the docket. So the next court date is going to be July 14th, 2025 at 9 a.m. And they got a pre-trial hearing. Well, the jury trial is now set for July 14th, 2025. And they have pre-trial on July 2nd. Told you guys, this trial is not happening in May. It's not. And if you guys think that this trial is happening in July, then I'm going to sell you a bridge too. Judges have to put these cases on the calendar. But we just saw in a preview, I'm sorry, you guys can't even see what I'm looking at. Here we go. We just saw in the previous hearing that they said that discovery is ongoing. Discovery is ongoing. They have not even released all the discovery yet. There's no way that this is going to trial until 2025 winter or late winter 2026. Late is going to be January, February. We're looking at a winter 2025-2026 trial. There's no way that this case is going to get adjudicated during the summertime or even the fall. I'll take an L and I'll say I was wrong if it goes to trial in October or November. Still super late, still closer to the dates that I give. But I think it's December, January, February, 2025, 2026. But it's not happening. It's not happening in the summertime or the fall of 2025. There's too much going on here. Too much evidence. They haven't even done depositions yet on the witnesses. They haven't even finished giving discovery to the defense. The defense is still, quote unquote, discovering secrets. Remember, the defense has secrets now. They got secret bombshells that they're working on. That might send, I'm of course exaggerating it. The defense didn't say it, but they might send Stephan Sterns free. So keep that in mind, guys. That's why there's no such thing as a bad theory. Keep that in mind when you hear your fellow YouTubers, your fellow commenters giving theories. There's no such thing as a bad theory. There's no such thing as a stupid theory. We don't know. We don't know what the prosecution is sitting on. The prosecution has released 0 videos to us. Name me a video you guys have seen associated with this case. Yet there's tons of video surveillance. The most they showed us is a snapshot of a car on a highway from highway cams. We didn't see the videos of the highway. How many of you have seen the parking lot video that shows the body being transferred from the passenger seat to the trunk? How many of you have seen that video? Other than one erroneous release in the beginning of this case before they even knew that Madeline was no longer with us, tell me how many of you have seen that video of the school, the church parking lot. They won't even release that, and that was released already. I saw it. Many of you saw it. You saw somebody else recording it off of a security screen. We saw that. They put that on lock and key once they found out that Madeline was deceased. We just got another lab report, which we have to cover on this channel, from Plunder yesterday. We got another lab report that's dated 2024. I don't know the exact date because I didn't see it yet. Because there was a long video. I was watching Plunder's video. The video was a couple hours long, so I didn't get to that part yet. But we just got another lab report yesterday. How can anybody discount any theory in this case? Every theory is good until we get the facts. The facts are not here yet. The facts are not here. We don't have the facts. So keep that in mind. Don't ever say to your fellow YouTubers, that this is not a viable theory or whatever. No, you can have all the theories you want. That's what we're doing here in true crime. There's no such thing as bad theory. People send me messages. I don't ever say, hey, that's a terrible theory. I might say I don't agree with it, but I never say it's a terrible theory because there's no such thing as a terrible theory. You keep theorizing, people, because we don't have the facts. Like I tell you guys for the last time, I'm not going to keep repeating myself like a broken record. Fox 35 reported that Stephan Sterns gave another statement that they allegedly, I say allegedly because they could be wrong, but they allegedly were able to obtain a statement from Stephan Sterns where he changes his story and says that Maddie went with him to the vape shop. Obviously, they are saying that she was the way she was in the position she was when she left through the gates of the development and he drove to the vape shop. It might be an incorrect statement. It may be that they misconstrued and mixed things up. Or maybe they have the statement that we don't have because we don't have all the discovery. And obviously, a national multi-billion-dollar news conglomerate will probably have people that they're paying off in the sheriff's department that either A, gave them this statement and never released it to Plunder and Grizzly and all these other folks, or B, took a picture of it illegally and sent it to the news. And the news is not releasing it, but they're reporting on it. It wouldn't be the first time somebody released illegal pictures about Maddie in this case in law enforcement. Did you guys forget that the sheriffs got censured and even people got fired because they took pictures of Maddie's body and released it on Facebook, etc., and Instagram? You guys forget about that? Oh, you got short memories. We don't have all the facts. We only have what they've decided to give us so far. And there's a lot of it they've decided we will never get. We'll be watching it for the first time during that trial. You guys are amazing. We had a really good show. We're at the 1 hour and 42 mark. I think this is a good time to end the show. Let me bring it back to me. Take this background off of me. Please stay tuned. Make sure your notifications are set to all so that when I go live or I drop a video, you guys can get access to that video and you'll be notified and you come support us. We do need the support. Once again, we're a small growing YouTube channel and we want to get up there with the big boys. When we get up there with the big boys, we want to play with the big boys, all right? So please do show love to the channel. Make sure that you're liking and subscribing. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out the building. And big shout out to all of my members. You guys showed out. Shout out to people who aren't members too. You guys love me too, and I appreciate you. Not everybody can afford to be a member, and we understand that. Don't ever think for any second that we think that you're lesser than thou. You're not lesser than thou. You are good. You are loved. But I got to show love to my members. I have to. And my members showed out in this, and I appreciate that, and I noticed that, and it means a lot to me. Big shout out to all my Patreon, because some people are members on my Patreon, but not members in YouTube, and I don't want you to think that you've forgotten either, because that Patreon is popping. It's where people need to be, on that Patreon. So, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one. Let me get that outro set up. Strategic is out of here. Peace.